Please welcome to the stage CEO, Patriot Academy, Rick Green.
Okay, so wrapping this thing up, because this has been an amazing weekend, and I'm going to attempt to send you home with some action items. So I want to kind of remind you why we're doing what we're doing, why it's so important for you to be the catalyst in your communities. I'm going to talk a little bit about how, some of the things that are coming up over the next year or so that you're going to be able to do right there in your neighborhood. So I'm just going to hit a couple of quick points. First of all, I just want to remind you America's the greatest nation in the history of the world and has the greatest impact on the world that any nation has ever had. Secondly, we'll talk about why the American culture is crumbling all around us. But fortunately for us, she's crumbling right on time. I'll explain that in a second. And then we'll talk about how to pick up the pieces and rebuild, because there is a secret sauce found in our birth date, the birth certificate of our nation, that if we use it and we implement it, we can save our nation, we can save this constitutional republic, and we can restore American exceptionalism. But it's going to take a lot of effort. This is not going to be quick. It's not going to happen overnight. It took generations to get into this mess, and so we've got to have a generational perspective to turn this thing around. So all I'm going to say about America being the greatest nation in the history of the world, because I'm sure that most of you agree with me, but some of you, unfortunately, may have actually attended a college in the United States in the last 20 or 30 years, and God forbid, maybe you went to graduate school like I did or law school like I did. If you did, let me just correct a lot of the indoctrination for you very easily. So all of this nonsense about America's evil and awful and terrible and a curse on the world and racist and yada, yada, yada. Very simple question if you want to know whether or not the American culture is worth saving and, in fact, worth defending. The question is this: are people trying to get in? Are they trying to get out? Okay, I'm a simple guy. I'm just a country boy from Dripping Springs, Texas. I don't have all the big fancy words that a lot of our other speakers do. But for me, the test is in the results. Why do people come here? The American dream is a real thing. In the Superman comics, I know I talked about Spider-Man and Captain America yesterday. Superman felt a little left out. So don't forget the Superman theme: truth, justice, the American way. That means something. This is a system worth fighting for. People come here for the American dream. You notice nobody's digging tunnels into North Korea. Nobody's pining for the North Korean dream or the Cuban dream. There is something special about what we have. And we got lazy. We just forgot how good it was. And that's why the American culture is crumbling. When I say it's crumbling right on time, most great civilizations fall apart at 250 years. We are less than 2 years away from our 250th birthday. On July 4th, 2026, we're either going to be curled up in the fetal position, having watched Marxism completely take over our nation, or we will be celebrating a rebirth of the principles of the Declaration that actually made our nation great. And to do that, we have to interrupt the cycle of nations. So the reason we're crumbling, it's actually just common sense. Think about it this way. I mean, you've all seen the memes. It's all going around now, right? Tough times make tough men make good times make soft men lead to tough times. Okay, we've had really good times in America for multiple generations. And it's the nature of man to take that for granted and stop doing the heavy lifting, stop doing the hard work that it takes to keep the good times going. And so as a result of that, we've gotten very soft as a nation. We've gotten weak. And we've allowed the Marxists to take over virtually every institution in America, from entertainment to journalism to media. All of this, you know, we talked about it. But because we let that happen, now it's going to take some tough times to get those things back. We are just now barely entering the tough times. It can get a whole lot worse. But if the tough times that we're entering now is enough to wake us up, if it's enough to shake us out of our slumber and to recognize what is necessary to stop this thing in its track, become tough again as men and women of America, and then take the culture back, then we can make those tough times much shorter than they would be. Reagan warned of 1,000 years of darkness. You look at the children of Israel as they're marching off to captivity, 70 years of captivity. And I bet everybody in this room has a pillow or a coffee mug that says, "I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you," and everybody feels good. Where were they going? 70 years of captivity. They're going into captivity, and he's saying, "Hey, I got a plan for you. Marry your wives, plant your gardens, build your homes, raise your children, be a blessing in the nation where you are." I say that to say, I don't know how long the tough times are going to last, but I know our duty doesn't change during those times. Our duty doesn't change. As citizens of a free nation, we have a responsibility to be engaged in this thing. And so in order to interrupt the cycle, We have to recognize the tools that we've been given, the tools of warfare that we have. We're in a war for the heart and soul of America. Fortunately for us, the tools of our warfare are peaceful. It's our voices, it's our votes, it's our action items. And there is absolutely, it's just like, I don't want to sound too much like Solomon in Ecclesiastes, but there's a time to march, just as we did yesterday. And there's a time now to go home and actually do the heavy lifting of taking the hours out of our day to study, to teach, to be force multipliers, to show up, as many of you are already doing back home. But we're going to give you some tools to be able to build that army back home of folks that are willing to come alongside you and lock shields with you and show up at those meetings with you, go testify with you, and build literally a brush fire of liberty in your community. And that's what it's going to take. We're literally going to live out. Think about the Declaration of Independence real quick and how we got here as a nation. We all know that this part, we hold these truths to be self-evident. We got to build it on truth. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their... No, it's Congress. Aren't you endowed by Congress? No? You're endowed by who? You bunch of Christian nationalists. I mean, apparently that's what it means. You know, if you actually think, they've actually defined it now. If you think your rights come from God and not government, you're a Christian nationalist. I think Jefferson would have a word with these people. He said that for a reason, because every nation on the planet at the time, power and freedom came from God to a king or a queen, and then they gave it to the people only as they saw fit. Well, Jefferson and the rest said, no, that's backwards. That's wrong. Power and freedom comes from God to the people, and then we, the people, set up government for the purpose of protecting the rights that he gave us. So we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That's the part that we failed at. We stopped doing consent of the governed. We stopped giving or refusing our consent for too long, and government assumed we consented and started taking over more and more of our lives, telling us how to raise our children, how to take care of our property, how to run our businesses, when we could express our faith in the public square, all of those things because we stepped out of the equation. Then, of course, Jefferson says that when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. Now, I am not for abolishing our entire government. There's definitely some departments at the federal level that need to be abolished, like education. I would certainly support abolishing the Center for Demented Confusion. You might know them as the CDC, but they are definitely the Center for Demented Confusion. Lots of departments that need to be abolished. More importantly, though, we need to alter our government back to a constitutional republic. Not a democracy, as all of you, of course, know. You know, when they say, you're a threat to democracy, your response should be, you're darn right. Because democracy, according to the Founding Fathers of America, is one of the greatest of evils. It's mobocracy, and it always ends in violence. We're a constitutional republic for a reason, and we need to celebrate that. We need to teach that. Apparently, to the reporters at CNN, we definitely need to teach that. I mean, they chastised some Trump supporters for answering their question about democracy and saying we're a constitutional republic, and it's just hilarious to watch, but it shows you how bad it is. And now back to my simple country boy, perspective on these things. We're in this mess. We have children that marched for made-up causes and march now for evil, murderous Hamas, because of the poison of cultural Marxism that we allowed to be poured into the minds of our children for multiple generations. Yes, at K through 12. Yes, in our college campuses. I've been saying defund the left by defunding the universities for 20 years. And so we've got to correct that course, but it begins in our homes, right? Just like we heard yesterday. I mean, again, it's the same thing for 20 years said. It's important what's happening at the White House. It's important what's happening in your state house, but not near as important as what's happening in your house. What's happening in my house? What are we doing to rebuild the walls right where we live? And that's where this partnership between Patriot Academy and Moms for Liberty is going to be essential to restoring American exceptionalism in this country. I am very proud of the fact that Patriot Academy has the only Constitution classes on the planet in which you will actually stay awake. I mean, I appreciate, a lot of these groups out there that have Constitution classes, but if you can stay awake in those classes, you're a better man than me. I'm telling you, I just can't do it. It's so boring, push you to sleep. We make it fun. Man, we go march with the Minutemen at Lexington. We actually show videos, actually with Dr. Alveda King going down to Ebenezer Baptist Church, and she gives a great lesson, even to my kids. One of the most pivotal moments in my children's lives was when we went down there, and we sat there in that church on the front pews, and she told us stories of her dad and her Uncle Martin, and she's going through all these stories, and then she stops, and she looks at my kids, and she says, you know we're the same race. My kids are about as lily-white as you can get. And they're looking at Dr. King going, we are? And she says, yeah, I got white brothers and sisters. I got black brothers and sisters. I got only one race. Everything she said yesterday. And for my kids, that was like an epiphany moment. And then in that show now that we make available through Chasing American Legends to people all over the world for free, they are learning from Dr. King as well. And recognizing that if we want actual justice in our country, we have to come back to biblical justice, neither Jew nor Greek, neither rich nor poor. You treat everybody the same. And get away from this social justice that is Marxism designed to divide us and make us hate each other. So we got a lot of work to do, but the way we do that is we have to come back to the beginning, and we got to go to spring training. Okay, I'm sorry to do a sports analogy, okay? But you show me the best athlete on the planet, and I guarantee you they go back to the basics every year. Show me the best musician on the planet. They go practice those scales. You do not perform well unless you go back to the basics. You show me a baseball player that might be a starter for one of the best teams in the major league. They don't go to spring training, they're going to have a lousy season. Everybody on the team doesn't go to spring training, that team's going to have a lousy season. Everybody in the league stops doing spring training, the league's going to fall apart. Citizens have to do spring training. George Mason said, he was one of the framers of the Constitution, refused to sign because it didn't yet end slavery and didn't have the Bill of Rights, but he helped frame it and he had a great influence on it. And he said that no free government, meaning no one, is going to enjoy the blessings of liberty, that's our theme this morning, unless they have a frequent recurrence to fundamental principles. A frequent recurrence to fundamental principles means we need to all go back to school. We need to all go back to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and study these things so that we know what produces a good society. Again, very simple, folks. Garbage in, garbage out. Good stuff in, good stuff out. But you got to know what the good stuff is to be able to teach yourself, teach your children, teach the people in your neighborhood, in your church, in your community, and then that will result in having a good society. Just imagine if we actually, once again in our nation, started treating our neighbors the way we want to be treated. What a novel concept. I think it's written down somewhere. Imagine if we actually lived in a neighborhood where everybody thought stealing was wrong and that committing murder was wrong, or that they were actually raising their kids to honor their father and mother. Wouldn't you want to live in a neighborhood like that? So if we go back to the founding documents, we go back to the founding of our country and we look for the secret sauce that gave us the formula that would ultimately produce the greatest nation in the history of the world. And you know, Dr. King actually quoted from the Declaration of Independence almost as much as he did from the Bible. There's some gold in there. There are things that we need to rediscover, and that's what we're going to make available to you. We're creating a Moms for Liberty Constitution Coach program. It'll be part of this new Moms for Liberty U that you've got. Oh, actually, I forgot I've got this slide. Let me just show you real quick. This is what it looks like when you go, and you can grab this QR code, or you can go out there to the table and grab one of these forms. This is totally free, okay? We're giving this to you for free. And it's going to make you a Constitution coach, and you don't have to know anything about history or government or the Constitution or the Declaration. You just got to do the power play. You turn on the power, you hit play. Okay, you get people in your living room or at your local church or wherever it is, and you get them to join you for these courses where they're going to be inspired to then become good citizens and be more active. Okay, so as a Moms for Liberty, and we're going to give you two options right here off the bat. Constitution Day is here in a couple of weeks, September 17th. And on right before Constitution Day, the night before, we're going to launch a Constitution Alive class for Moms for Liberty members all across the nation to join us on Zoom. And so you can sign up by hitting that QR code. I think it's on the screen. Did I put that up there or maybe not? Let's see. One more. No, that's not it. Go back. There we go. Is it up there? Oh, it's tiny. Let me see if I can find a bigger one. Oh, yeah, when you do this, let me do this first. When you do this class, we've done 8,000 of these classes all over the country. 1 million people have been through our classes. I can guarantee you this will happen when you have a class. People will find hope. They will realize, actually, there is a formula that can save the nation. We're not done. We don't have to curl up in the fetal position and give up. You know, I got friends that say, Rick, it's all over. Grab your guns and canned food. Go hide out at the ranch. Now, I'm kind of like Dr. King. You ought to have the guns, the food, and the ranch. Okay? Have that sword ready. But this is not a time to run. This is a time to lean in, to occupy, as she said, to take ground back. And when you take this class, your folks and your friends that come with you, they will find hope for how to do that. They'll get confirmation in their gut that, yes, this nation is good. We do. Yes, we're good, bad, and the ugly. We look at the sins that we've committed and the terrible things that we've done, but we look at it in comparison to and relative to the history of the world. And then we look at what we can do about it by sharpening each other's countenance, by having the opportunity to do that together, to sit there and go through that class together. I promise you, it will empower them. We got these classes. You can do them wherever you want. We got people doing them in coffee shops and bait and tackle shops and in classrooms. And I even had a guy tell me the other day, I'm doing a Constitution class in a funeral parlor. I said, funeral parlor? That's weird, man. And I started thinking about, well, Democrats vote dead people, so maybe. And anyway, you can do it. You can do it wherever you want. But I promise you, we know after all of those classes that it works well. And it will build your Moms for Liberty local group. I promise you, people will want to be involved. So let me get to that. There you go. There's your QR code. Sign up for free. Join us starting September 16th. We're going to go for 6 weeks on Monday nights. And each of those weeks, we'll watch the video together. And then either Tiffany or Tina will be on with me and we'll take questions. Sometimes I'll have a special guest like David Barton or Brad Stein or Kirk Cameron or whoever. Anyway, we'll have people on to be there and visit with you and answer questions. But hit that QR code, get on that website, sign up for the class on September 16th, and then also sign up to be a coach, because then you get free access to this dashboard, which gives you all the videos, all the classes, the ability within about 5 clicks to have your own landing page to host your own local class right there in your community that'll automatically send email reminders. All the students in your class get to take the class for free. They get a free digital workbook, has all this cool stuff. So check that out. Make sure you click on that link. Let me show you this, and then we're going to close with a song, because you're going to want to come do this as well. It's more than just a class on video. At some point, you're going to come to Fredericksburg, Texas, and do the Patriot Experience.
The Patriot Experience happens right here in this new legislative hall that we just built here at the Patriot Academy campus. And it's so much more than just learning. The legislative simulation, the life purpose planning, the communications training so that you can be effective at winning people over to your values and to the constitutional republic that we have, getting them to love America again. And then to top it all off, you're gonna get some really good Constitution training, in-depth Constitution training. I'm looking forward to being with you and getting to do a big part of that. And constitutional defense training, the physical training to be able to defend yourself and your family in the moment. We have the greatest ranges in the country, the best instructors on the planet, and the best programs for you. Whether you've never touched a gun in your life or you've been training your whole life, you will enjoy this course and the fellowship. All of this in 1 week, well, less than 1 week. So come spend a few days with us, enjoy the Patriot Experience, and then go home and light a brush fire of liberty in your neighborhood, your church, in your home, in your community, and let's save this constitutional republic. Check out the details below and come see us right here at the Patriot Academy campus.
All right, now, I think we ought to have just a Moms for Liberty week at the Patriot Academy campus. So we'll work on those plans, maybe in the spring or whenever, but you can come anytime you want. And by the way, ladies, 55% of our students in our handgun defense classes are women. Many of which who've never touched a gun in their life, okay? Some who've had major trauma in their life. So whether you're an expert marksman or you've never touched a gun in your life, you need to do this training. You need to be ready. I hope the dirtbag never shows up at your door or in the parking lot wherever you're walking to the car, but 4 million violent crimes a year in this country. And Proverbs 27:12 says, a wise person foresees danger and takes precaution. A fool walks blindly on and suffers the consequences. Let's not be fools. Let's be wise and let's be ready. Okay, last thing, send your young people to us, 16 to 25. We're training up the next generation, man. These are the Navy SEALs of civics. By the way, these 3 amazing young people up here, I don't know if you're still in the room, but y'all can have a full ride to come to the Patriot Academy for a week if you want to come down to, I'd love to have them join us. I would imagine at these Ivy League schools, they don't see a lot of common sense. So come spend some time with some other young leaders from across the country that have some great common sense. Actually, I think it was Travis was his name, to his question, 41 weddings out of Patriot Academy so far. So, good place to meet that conservative. Anyway, so we're going to build Independence Hall and all that as well. But all right, so listen, we're gonna close out. Cameron, go ahead and come on. My daughter's going to help me close this thing out with a song that you're all going to recognize. It actually started as a poem. And then it became the most popular song in America. But this morning, as we close with this, I want you to think of it as a prayer. And you're going to hear maybe some lines in this song that you never heard before, because she's going to do all 4 stanzas. And I just want to point out a couple of the lines real quick so you're thinking about it when it comes up. And I know your instinct is going to be to want to sing with her, but if you can do that and really listen to the words at the same time, great. But the point is to really think about this as a prayer. And a couple of lines that are really important to pay attention to. Liberty in law. We do not have liberty if we have no legal system or justice system that we can have faith in. We do not have liberty if we're outside the boundaries. In other words, what Zig Ziglar always taught me was God's best blessings are found within his boundaries. That's why liberty works whenever you have a system in place. So just take that and recognize what we're dealing with our justice system today. It's another reason to do these classes so that we get back to blind justice, equal justice. So liberty and law. Also recognize this line: a patriot sees beyond the years. You know, yesterday Dr. King said that her uncle was a patriot, that when he said, "I have a dream," it was within the American dream. And you have to be able to see beyond the fight that we're fighting right now, beyond the years. Folks, we're planting trees right now we're not going to enjoy the shade of. Many of us are going to be dead and gone by the time these seeds we're planting, should the Lord tarry, actually take hold and are there for our children and our grandchildren. I think part of our complaint, because we're all upset with both Democrats and Republicans, is that a politician is only thinking about the next election. A patriot is thinking about the next generation. We are raising up patriots to run for office at every level across this country, to go make movies and television shows, to serve in business and ministry in all of these areas, that are biblical citizens taking a biblical perspective on how you treat your neighbor, and then doing that properly under our particular Constitution. A patriot sees beyond the years. Think about that as you head home this afternoon, and think about the seeds that you're going to plant back home with your Moms for Liberty chapters. I am absolutely convinced that to save this nation, we must go back to our spring training, find that foundation, reinvigorate those truths in our hearts and minds, and the Moms for Liberty is positioned to be absolutely the linchpin on making that happen across the country. You have the troops across the nation, and you have people in communities all over the nation waiting for you to ask them to join the cause. I think you're going to explode in your membership, even just like you have in only 3.5 years. You've already been so effective and had so many victories. I think the Lord's got incredible plans for this organization, and Patriot Academy is proud to come alongside you, because we are going to restore American Exceptional in this country. We are going to once again recognize just how beautiful America is, and we're going to start thinking like patriots, seeing beyond the years. Y'all welcome Cameron Green.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood. From sea to shining sea. And oh, beautiful for pilgrim feet who stern in passion stress, a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thine every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. And oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, himself, their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. And oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. Oh, America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and he crowned thy good with brotherhood, and he crowned thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
Isn't she beautiful? Hey, this is why we do what we do, and I know it's the same for you, our kids and our grandkids. I used to ask people, what's your freedom worth? Wrong question. What's your child's freedom worth? What's your grandchild's freedom worth? Let's go home and get to work, y'all.